I'm Trish.
And I'm Butch.
And welcome to the second episode of Dulcimer Road. Dulcimer Road is a monthly walk through the highways and byways of the Dulcimer community. It's people, it's places, and a lot of exciting news that happens in the Dulcimer community. This is February. I hope you all had a great Valentine's Day. And I hope your month has been full of happiness and music. Now it's time for our monthly segment of Your Time to Learn from Butch Ross.
It's called Do Try This at Home, and today we're going to take a look at the second part of how to change the strings on your dulcimer. This time we'll be looking at scroll head or slot headed dulcimers. Not that I use those terms in the video at all. Not at all.
What about knucklehead?
Yeah, well. I'm going to change the bass string now on a slot head dulcimer. This is a Bill Rich dulcimer, Papa's Dulcimers, and this is a fully chromatic. He makes great instruments. I really enjoy playing them. Has a fixed bridge and a pickup and all of that. It also has these. It has an interesting little end pin. So these are made to hold ball end strings, and then behind it are these ones that are made to hold loop end strings. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the loop end to replace the bass string, and I'm going to do that so I can show you the other method of using a ball end string with a loop end setup, like I discussed earlier. So once again, first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the string. Now these are a little harder to get out, a little fussier to work with. I'm on the fence about whether or not I like them. I prefer to work with the slot head strings just because they're so much easier to work with. But you know, the loop end or the scroll heads are so traditional, so in touch with the history, you know, and that's something I like to think about too. Bob McGowan in Memphis builds these wonderful instruments that have they're scroll end, but they are actually slot head with standard slot head tuners, and I think that's a really elegant solution because you have all the convenience of the slot head, but it still looks like a good scroll head, and you still have that real like piece of artwork that a well-made scroll head is. So I'm going to be using the loop end thing this time. So what I've done is I've taken my string and I've pushed it through the hole in the ball end, and then I'm going to hold on to the ball and I'm going to pull that as far as I can. It's not going to be far enough. That little loop that you're getting right there is not really big enough to make it happen. But as we pull it tight, you'll see that it gets better. So now I've kept it loose. I'm wrapping it around and I'm pulling it again over the strings. So I already have it through the slot, and you see that I have it wrapped around here. Now this instrument is a little different than the McSpadden, and where it's going to be a little harder for me to keep the strings on. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take my capo, and I'm going to put a capo at just above the highest fret, and I'm going to lock that down as best I can. Now I'm not worried about it being perfectly aligned in the bridge slot or anything like that, but just like that. And what it's doing is it's just holding the string down while I work up here at this end. And then once we get the string started, we'll work with that. So now the first thing I need to do is I need to turn this. What I've done is I've turned it so I can actually see the hole. There, yeah, you can see. So you can see the hole where the string goes in, and I've turned it so that it's right up on top. When you're using a slot to do things, you always want the string it's going to come down, and then you're going to turn it this way. You want the strings to roll over the top. It isn't like toilet paper. We can argue about this all day. Now, pushing it in down from the top, I'm only going to be able to get it through the hole by about a half, maybe not even a half an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwind it. So you can see. I'm going to unwind it until it's now facing something closer to perpendicular. So I'm just making it straight up and down to get the string in, and then I'm going to turn it this way so that I can push the string the rest of the way through. And then once I get the string to come out the bottom of the headstock, here it is right here, same as before, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to pull it tight. Okay, so now that the string is through the headstock, I can remove the cape. I'm going to remove the capo from this end. I'm going to make sure that everything's realigned, make sure that my string is going through the slot up at the nut, and also that it's sitting on the proper slot down here on the bridge. And then same as before, I'm going to get 3 fingers. I'm going to give myself about 3 fingers of slack. I'm going to pull with these 3 fingers and push down with this one to keep it in straight. And I'm doing it over here at the 1st fret as best I can. Taking my string winder with my left hand, which yes is a little awkward, I'm turning it clockwise so that each wind is going over. Now I can't do that extra wind over the top like I did with the slot head, but what I am going to be sure of is that as the hole comes around, the string I'm winding is to the right of the hole. The next wind is going to be to the right of that, and the next wind is going to be to the right of that. Now that'll all start to make sense once you've done this a few times. So I'm pushing to the left to make sure that everything lines up tightly, and I'm watching as each string comes through to make sure that each row is subsequent to the row before it. And this will take a little practice to be able to line them up perfectly, and that's okay. You don't have to get this right. This is something you don't have to get right on the first try. What is important, the most important part, is that you leave enough slack that you can get at least 2 or 3 wraps around there before you do it. Leave enough slack that it can wrap a couple of times. That's really the key to making your strings not break, to keeping them in tune better, and to being able to change from tuning to tuning if you care to without breaking anything. Alright, so I got it about where I like it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to again lift up the strings, only coming up about an inch, as much as it'll give me. I'm not going to fight it, but a little bit of tension, and you see how's. And I'm going to have to do this a couple of times, because as I pull it, I'm forcing this end, which we've wrapped the ball end around, to get wrapped tightly around there. And I think you can see that. All right. Alright, I feel confident that it's on there. And now what I'm going to do is, however I can, in this case I'm going to use the needle nose pliers and push this back. I want to get this extra bit of string out as much as I can. And then I'm going to take my clippers. Like I said, these are too big, and you can get smaller clippers. But you want to get as close to the hole as you can. As it stands right now, the hole that the string is coming out of is actually facing upward. But if it wasn't, I would detune the string until it did, so that I could clip it and get it exactly, or even tune it up so that I could get it where I could get to it. You want to get to as close as you possibly can when you clip the string. So I'm getting right up to the edge of it, making careful that I'm only cutting the one string and not cutting another string by mistake, which can also happen. And there you go. So that's it. That's what I know about changing strings. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to us at dulcimerroad@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, where you'll also be able to see photographs, close-up of the windings that I did and the things that I was talking about in the video. And you can also leave a comment or post a question there as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next month.
We have an episode today called Dulcimers in Your Own Backyard.
Mm-hmm. That's where we take a look at some of the people that we have right here in the Chattanooga area who aren't famous. So no Dan Landrum this month. And we'll take a look at some of the Dulcimer players that we know, because Chattanooga has a great Dulcimer community, has a lot of really great Dulcimer players, like Dan Landrum. In fact, we have, I think, in Hammer Dulcimer, I think we have, what, 3 or 4 national champions?
That's right, we do. We have, if I may mention, Steve Humphreys and Lisa Ferguson and Dan Landrum. And we have many mountain dulcimer players, both who are students of the dulcimer and are hobbyists, as well as people who play semi-professionally. So today on our show, it's been really fun to find a few of those people and talk to them.
The first couple of folks we sat down with were mountain dulcimer players from here in town, a mountain dulcimer and sitar player named Joe Adolfo, and then also Scene Cruz. So let's take a look at our interview with them now.
Scene and Joe, thanks for being here today.
Well, yeah, glad to be here.
We are excited to have you, and it's neat that as much as Butch is on the road and we have been on the road meeting people, that really, I mean, there are great dulcimer players right here, and you two are some of them. Let's start out by you telling us a little bit about yourself. Are you from the area, or did you move here? Tell us.
I grew up in Middle Tennessee and moved here
Okay.
quite a bit later.
Okay, what about you, Joe?
I'm originally from New Jersey and
Okay.
came here in Middle Tennessee, learned Dulcimer Middle Tennessee.
Great.
Moved to Chattanooga.
So, Middle Tennessee. So, what was your dulcimer playing born in Middle Tennessee, or that just happens to be the place you have both been?
To be honest, my dulcimer playing probably was born because of carpal tunnel.
Oh, really? Tell us a little bit about that.
Started out playing guitar, and the older I got, the more carpal tunnel my hand would go to sleep because I was playing my acoustic. Not so much in the electric, but with the acoustic.
So, how is the dulcimer different?
I think the wrist is straighter. I'm not curving around.
So, that's a result of having sort of a limitation, as it were, bring you to something that you would be very good at and enjoy. Joe, I happen to know you're having some limitations right now because you just had back surgery, which is going to make you good as new. But aside from that, tell us how you got started playing dulcimer.
I moved to Middle Tennessee to go to MTSU, and I was living in India. So my travel partners in India were from local regions. We all went to college together. So I played East Indian sitar before I played dulcimer.
Okay, so
This was back in the 70s. So about 1972, some of the locals came by with the dulcimer and they said, I bet you can play this. And
They were right.
I think you were right.
so I started playing and ended up in Smithville and Huntsville.
I love the idea that there was a day when you were playing sitar and somebody came up to you and said, that instrument's not weird enough. Try this.
It was right when Richmond and Mimi Farina were popular. So I love their music actually.
Yeah.
I used to watch Rainbow Quest with Keith Seeger.
Oh, really?
I used to watch it on PBS, and that's where I saw him. And
You can still, they're still online. You can watch them on YouTube.
I got to meet Jean Ritchie back in the 70s when I was at MTSU. She was sitting on the curb playing her dulcimer, and I got to sit with her and play, and I didn't know it was Jean Ritchie. And then later on that evening, she had a concert at MTSU. I kind of did, and I went, oh wow.
That's a lady I was sitting on the curb with.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it was really nice
That's
to,
pretty awesome.
to meet her like that. Of course, after that, I started following her music and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we can talk about dulcimer and not talk about Jean Ritchie. And I was just introduced to her music because I didn't grow up with folk music, and it's been a neat experience for me and my daughter, who is taking dulcimer, to be able to see footage of her playing, and she got to take a class, and we have a book of Jean Ritchie, a brand new book of Jean Ritchie's music, and so it's just so accessible and special at the same time, which really, it's really inspiring. And have you met anybody famous, Steve?
I met Jean Ritchie also once. She was giving a concert at Southern College in Allison, Hotbed. And I took an old book of hers that she had put out to get her autograph it for me. And before she did autograph it, she made me sit down with her. It was like being with your grandmother. It was just so sweet.
That's
Sweet lady.
That's so great.
3 Dulcimer players at the time.
David was also in a band called Cactus Brothers.
I remember when he started.
I saw them downtown once.
Oh yeah, where?
Yeah, they were. Oh gosh, it's right there next to the aquarium. It used to be a piano bar or something.
Oh yeah, like where Cheeseburger is, or
No,
or
other
the other
side-
side
other
where
side
Ben and
street.
Jerry's is, or
Where the TGI Fridays used to be. That.
It's back this way. It was.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember what the name of it. Anyway, they played there and it was way too small.
Okay.
And they were way too loud.
Which is funny, you don't really think about a dulcimer player being in a band that's too loud.
They were very loud. They were a country rock band.
Yeah. And it is rare, I think, that dulcimer players are associated with quote unquote famous people. I mean, you have Dave Schneider playing with those guys, and then we know Gene Ritchie, and lately we know that Cyndi Lauper has played the dulcimer on the Grammys and that sort of thing. Are there other people that you can think of that are
Johnny Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell, of course, right? And
Brian Jones.
Yeah.
Everybody brings up that one Brian Jones.
One Rolling Stone song.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't really actively pursue it. Me and Johnny used to play
Yeah,
a
we
lot
used
of
to play
that
at the
together.
aquarium too.
oh, really?
Oh yeah.
When they paid you.
Yeah.
So you played outside, kind of a busking thing, or just official like?
We were
Well,
official busker a lot.
Yeah, we
trained
busked
by the city.
a few times. We played once inside.
Yeah.
They let you
That
in.
was a separate.
Yeah, it was a special, some kind of Appalachian folk party or
Okay.
something they were doing.
We had Patty Milbanks,
Yeah.
myself, and I was fortunate enough to help with a grant out of Cleveland, Tennessee, the NOAA grant to reintroduce the dulcimer to the school children. So Virginia Parham and I went to every school in the area and played a dulcimer and guitar.
Wow.
There's news clips and stuff on the internet and stuff about it.
That's fantastic.
And Allied Arts sort of recruited me to come to Chattanooga back when we were doing artist in residence, and
Sure.
I was trained as an artist in residence,
Well, that's great.
performing artist.
So you've had influence on lots of people. So somebody might be out there playing dulcimer that you don't even know that you inspired.
Yeah, like kids come up and hey, you remember me? And it's
Yeah.
like I've seen so many kids, it's hard to
It is.
be specific. I have to have them to bring up a memory so they can say, oh yeah, now I remember. I watch Butch as he's here in town now and everything, and
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that I was doing like 20 years ago, he's doing,
It
and
is.
he's doing it very well.
Thank you.
He even went to England to the Nunsuch.
Oh, you did that?
Yes.
Yes, you did. That's right.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
10 years later, I think we can go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
They picked me up
Mhm.
and dropped me off again at the house, and it was a pretty good hour drive.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah, it was
Just
Just
ask
there.
if you knew Joe Rodolfo. You got that.
They have actually asked me if I knew Joe Rodolfo.
So it's neat that we have representatives from Chattanooga going over there, and you guys have just been great to talk to today.
Thanks.
And it's neat to know that you are in our own backyard, and we'd love to have you back to talk again sometime. And you just
Gotta go home and eat first.
All right, well, guys, thank you, Scene Cruz and Joe Rodolfo. Thanks for
See
being
you.
with us today, and we'll see you around town. Joe and Scene were so much fun to have in the house, talking to and playing around with. They are a blast, and we hope to have them back again. Another couple of really special people that we know are Carmen McCoy and her mom, Betty. Carmen and Betty are students of the Dulcimer who have been studying for a while and attend workshops regularly, and they live right here. Carmen and Betty, we're glad to have you today. Thank you for coming. And Carmen and Betty have sort of a story behind how they began playing Dulcimers, and we want to find out a little bit more about that. So tell us, I think Betty, you were the one who started playing the Dulcimer.
Yes,
and so tell us about that. How did you become interested in that, and how did that evolve in your life?
Well, I started playing the Dulcimer in 2008. And my very first workshop was here in Chattanooga at the Soldiers and Sailors Auditorium. So I started from there. But the way when I decided to start learning to play, my neighbor across the street, it was around Christmas time, and they came over for refreshments. And had a subject about Dulcimers came up I'll never remember. But we said to each other we would love to learn to play the Dulcimer.
Oh, wow.
And she said, well, I think there's a group here somewhere. Let's check it out and see, and let's join. And so we did. We found the number, and I called my Dulcimer club. I talked to the president, a real sweet lady, just lovely. And she invited us to come, and we did. And so from there we started, and I have loved it ever since.
That's great. So when you went to the club, did you have any knowledge of the Dulcimer and how to play it at all, or were they able to teach you, or did you just kind of picked it up as you went along?
I really kind of picked it up. I really didn't even have a Dulcimer. Carmen had a Max Batten.
Okay.
And I got hers. I knew she had had it for a long time.
Okay.
But I'd never really even held it. I don't think I had.
Okay.
So I took hers with me, and one of the ladies tuned it for me.
Okay. Right.
And they were so nice to me. They're just so good. I had to keep going because they were just so friendly.
Nice.
And it was so much fun even today.
Oh, that's really a great story. So you said Carmen had a Dulcimer, but Carmen, you weren't playing it, were you? Now, tell me the story of why you had it, and then how you came into to fold into this Dulcimer playing thing.
Well, about 10 years prior to that, my husband and I were at Opryland when it was still a theme park.
Yes.
And there was a guy there selling Dulcimers.
Okay.
And I saw it and I said, oh man, I'd love to have that. He told me how easy it was to play. Well, Wayne said, your birthday's coming up, I'll buy it for your birthday. So the guy showed me how to do it, and I thought, man, this is going to be so easy. Well, it wasn't quite as easy as he made it look. And I played around with it for about 3 or 4 months, and I put it under the bed. And it stayed there until my mother called and said she just wanted to look at it. And next thing I knew, she had gone and gotten it and taken it with her, and I ended up having to buy her one to get mine back.
Then was it Betty that convinced you to play, or when did you actually start getting into playing yourself?
Well, when they had the workshop, the one at the Memorial Auditorium, I have an aunt in Birmingham that wanted to play the Dulcimer. So she came up from Birmingham, and my mother and I, the 3 of us, all went to this workshop at the auditorium.
Was that Dan and Angie that were doing
Yes,
it?
it was. And I think that was probably, I don't know what year it was, but anyway, we all went to that, and I really enjoyed it. So I kind of piddled around with it some more, and then a little bit of time passed, and then they had the folk school had a workshop that they were doing. I think it was 8 weeks or something like that. Butch was teaching it.
Okay.
And it was an intermediate, I believe, class. It wasn't a beginner's class.
It was beyond beginner.
Beyond beginner. And my mother wanted to go, and she said, "Oh, you can do it. You can go in this class with me." Well, I went in the class with her because she wanted me to. And I realized very quickly that I was in way over my head. Anyway, he said, "Well, I'll give you a lesson or two to get you up to speed." And so I've been playing with Butch ever since.
Have you played other musical instruments? Do you read music? Are you musicians in other ways? Or is this your primary instrument? Tell me about that. Betty, what about you?
This is really my primary instrument. I've recently started with the banjammer, but I'm not a great fan of the banjammer. I'm doing it because my club found out that I had one.
Oh, well, that's what it is. I've got a banjammer. You're going to be playing it.
Really? So, but then my really most musical ability, I guess you could say, was when I was much younger. I used to sing. I sang in church, and of course my voice is gone now. I don't have a voice anymore.
Now, Carmen, are you musically inclined? Do you play piano or anything else, or is Dulcimer? I mean, clearly you're musically inclined because you play, but have you been in the past?
Well, when I was in the 2nd or 3rd grade, I started playing violin, and I played that for about 13 years.
Okay.
I really wasn't very good at that, but I did like to play, and played in all city orchestra.
Yeah. Is that here in Chattanooga?
In Chattanooga.
Okay.
But I can read music, obviously,
Okay.
playing the violin, and then I sang in church with my mother a lot, so not as a duet, but in the choir with her. So.
Okay.
And when I was in the youth, we sang a lot.
Yeah. So that's great. Y'all have a nice relationship, a nice mother-daughter relationship.
We're just like girlfriends, really. This is my Dulcimer buddy. You have to have a Dulcimer buddy.
Yeah, you do. And how special that it's your daughter.
Well,
And your mom.
I would do something, and when Carmen was little, and she wanted to do it too.
What do going to festivals and workshops mean to you as players and as hobbyists of the Dulcimer?
Well, I like it because you can go, and there's a lot of different instructors that you can take classes from. You get a lot of different perspectives. Everybody has a different view and different take on the Dulcimer, how you should play the Dulcimer, whether you should strum in or strum out, or finger picking or don't finger pick, or 3 strings or 4 strings. Just everybody has a different idea.
Right.
And it's interesting to me to see all the different ways and the different I guess genres of music that people play. So I enjoy it. It's just a lot of fun to me. Plus it's a lot of fun to get out of town and just have some fun.
Yeah.
We do have a good time.
Yeah. Do you have some favorite ones, or is there something about it that you always look forward to?
Well, I just really look forward to. For one thing, I like to be with Carmen. She is fun to be with. But I am a very slow learner, so I don't learn a great deal. But it's just fun to be around all those people. Everybody's with a Dulcimer, and sometimes, if I'm lucky, I'll get an instructor that teaches finger picking. I fell in love with finger picking several years ago, and I ordered Janita Baker's book, and I had taught myself, and I like to use the 4 equidistant strings. I love that sound, and I just got hooked on it. And so at home is the only place I have. Nobody else I know plays 4 equidistant strings finger picking. But it just got to me, and I just love it.
Any particular goals for your Dulcimer playing? Are you happy in what you're doing with it right now?
I'm very happy. But I would love someday, this is just a dream, it'll never happen, because at my age, I don't have that much time to learn it. But I would love to learn a lot of Hawaiian music and do a little program all by myself. Now, like I say, this will never happen, but that is my dream.
I'm thinking we're going to have to make this happen.
happen.
So you said the wrong thing to me. You really did. Carmen, what about you?
I want to get better than Butch, if that's possible.
I'm sure that's not far.
I don't really have a goal that I just like to play. It's kind of a relaxation for me in a way, and play for a couple of hours, and and you know, if I'm doing okay, then I feel pretty good when I leave. And sometimes I feel pretty good even if I've really messed everything up. But
Yeah, great. Betty, let's take a look at your instrument. Tell us what it is, where you got it, how you got it, anything you want to tell us about this beautiful instrument.
It's a blue line. Got it from Janita Baker. Actually, it was I can't remember if it was a birthday gift or what from Carmen and Wayne, her husband.
And by the way, Wayne is such a sweet guy. I just have to plug that. Wayne.
well, thank you. I know he'll love that.
I'm lucky to have him for
He's a
son-in-law.
sweet, sweet man.
Yes.
This is the one I bought for her, or Wayne and I bought for her, so I could get my McSpadden back.
Oh,
In the very beginning.
I see. Now, are these? Did you just like the look of this when you bought it for her? I mean, are there
I
some?
knew she would like it because it's the rose.
roses.
These are roses, and
It's beautiful.
Jack, my father, he grew roses, so I knew he grew prize roses.
Right, right.
Yeah, he
And
was
so
a Rosarian, and he was actually president years and years ago of the Tri-State Rose Society.
Wow.
So he knew a lot about roses, and we talked about roses a lot.
Okay, let's see, Carmen. Let's see your instrument. Tell us about it.
This instrument was made especially for me by Bill Rich.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and it is a performance model. It's called a.
Performance, or is that his gypsy, right?
It's the Gypsy Performance.
Aha.
Yes, and it has the shorter fretboard because, as I mentioned before, I have short fingers,
Yeah.
and it's chromatic, fully chromatic.
Okay.
So I can play anything on here that I want.
Mhm.
So that's why I wanted it.
Bill builds the gypsy. He built specifically for women, so it has a shorter fretboard, but it's curvier and it's thicker, so that you have the same volume of air that you would have in a full-size dulcimer.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you have the same volume and you have the same tone that
Right.
you would get, but in the smaller, so you can make the stretches.
I love it, and tell me about why I've never seen this, and maybe I just have never seen
possum
it.
board?
That separate like that almost. Does that affect the sound or anything?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
When it's on your lap,
Uh-huh.
it allows more sound to come out. So it doesn't really deaden the sound when you have it like laying flat on your lap.
Okay.
These little things here were kind of his trademark for a long time. What does he call these?
Comets.
Comets.
Comment.
Yeah. So,
Well,
but
I love this, and I'll show you in a close-up photo. But there are stars all along the fretboard, which I just think is it's really kind of special and magical looking.
And then there's sound holes at the bottom.
Yeah, have
Yeah, the moon.
the crescent moon, and that's just beautiful. I might have to get me one of those. So, could you strum a little and let us hear just the sound of what that sounds like with the So it really is it's a rich sound, and you can't hear that coming out of the bottom, can't you? Wow, that's really neat. Thanks, Betty and Carmen.
This is a part of the show now where we get to answer some questions from you guys at home. So what do we got this month?
This question comes from Robert in Hickson, Tennessee. I'm looking at getting a mountain dulcimer. Do you have any suggestions what to look for and maybe builders in the Chattanooga area?
Well, let's not just stick to the Chattanooga area. Up near Knoxville, you have Mike Clemmer.
Right?
You have Bill Rich, who's Papa's Dulcimers, which
Right.
are the dulcimers that I play. Over in Memphis, you have Bob McGowan, who makes wonderful instruments that I really, really like. You know, don't forget that McSpaddens are great, folk crafts are great. Gary Sager, when he builds a dulcimer, builds an amazing dulcimer. Jerry Rockwell, another great builder. And these are just off the top of my head. Most of these guys have websites. Most of these guys have online catalogs where you can actually see what they're working on.
Right.
You know, a lot of them show at festivals. You know, Unicoi, the festival in Coshocton, Ohio. You know,
And those are great places, I think, because I think it's great with an instrument, as we've heard in this episode already, just to be able to really hold it in your hands, really see how it feels to you. It's a personal.
It really is a personal thing. It's going to speak to you in one way or another, and you don't have to be an expert on the instrument to know that. There's going to be one that you're going to look at and it appeals to you, and you know what I mean.
And Robert, when you get that dulcimer, we'd love to see it, and we'd love for you to share it on our show. Here's a question from our friend Josh No in Bardstown, Kentucky. Hey, Josh. He says, "Hey, Dulcimer Road crew. Wanted to stop by and let you all know how much I enjoyed the first episode. Thank you, and looking forward to future episodes."
Thanks.
I know for me personally, it's neat to see all these hybrid dulcimers that have been coming out over the years. Maybe featuring some of those would be a wonderful exploration and learning for others as well. Things like band jammer, resonator, dulcimer, electric dulcimer, etc.
Well, actually, that's what we're planning on doing in a future episode, where we're going to talk about things that specifically are not dulcimers, or are partially dulcimer, including my electric zither and, of course, band jammers and resonator dulcimers and all of that stuff. So
This question comes from Howard in Ooltewah, Tennessee. Howard asks, is there a source book for basic dulcimer chords, songbooks available online or from Amazon?
Well, again, online, both folkcraft.com and prussiavalley.com, Gary and Tony Sager's place, have a great selection of online books that you can get. I know, again, just speaking off the top of my head, because I know there are plenty of great books that are out there, but Dave Haas's book on starting the
Yes,
dulcimer,
I was going to mention that.
that's one Ella's using. He also has a really nice jam book. I think Bing has a beginning dulcimer book. And as far as chord books go, Neil Hellman did a chord book, and I know you can get this at Gary's place, and you can get it through folkcraft.com. And I'm also currently working on a chord book for Folkcraft as well.
Oh, great. And Howard, I will mention that what's great about these books are so many of them come with CDs or DVDs, which for me is tremendously helpful because I'm a visual learner, and so to emulate someone who's playing or to listen and to be able to really hear what it's supposed to sound like is really helpful. And certainly with Ella starting, yes, Dave Haas's books have been great for her, but there's just so many out there to choose from. Go to a festival. I encourage anybody who's interested in dulcimer or something related to it, go to a festival. There are so many out there, and it will inspire you and it will encourage you. And if you already are playing another instrument, you will be surprised at how easily you'll pick up the dulcimer. I was surprised that I could play it at all. But I can, and it's really satisfying. And the community is so fantastic. You just won't want to leave once you go. And again, be sure that you're posting on our site. Ask us questions. Share your pictures from festivals. Share the things that you're doing out in your community. And we will look forward to seeing all of those.
And don't forget, too, if you want to know where there's a festival near you, Dulcimer Players News is a great resource for that. They have a monthly calendar or a quarterly calendar in every issue that shows what events are coming up. You can also see what events are coming up by going to the events page on everythingdulcimer.com. And both of those are great online resources. And the chances are pretty good if you live on the east side of the Mississippi that there's probably a Dulcimer festival taking place not too far from you.
All right, thank you for joining us for the Valentine episode of Dulcimer Road.
It looks better, by the way, from this side than it does from the camera side.
We are looking forward to next month.
Yeah, next month will actually be a live performance. We're going to do that on Tuesday the 16th? 15th. And that'll be a live broadcast. Have some friends here from Chattanooga. We'll be playing some Irish music and doing it as a concert window event like we did in December with our Christmas show. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube. Post comments and questions and all of that stuff. And we'll see you next month.
See you on the road.
And what you want to do is what a lot of people don't know is a lot of people think if you pinch it.
Oh, really? Pinch it. So, which hand should I use? Should I use the right hand with my stronger hand?
Yeah.
And just hold it with the other one?
Yeah.
So,
And then give this a swing back and forth. Get that out of your
Tony
Okay.
coming back and forth. It's like,
Oh my gosh, it takes a lot more coordination than.
Pinch.
Oh, pinch.
He will?
I thought this
Okay.
would be a skill.